I'm high on the Panthers this week because it's the first week in a while where I can draw it out and I can say, this is how you win. This is how you win. This is the path. There's a path, and it's not the quarterback. I've thought about it. I slept on it. I would rather have Drake Maye than Bryce Young. You're telling me I have to build around one of those guys? I'm choosing Drake Maye all day. But the Panthers have an identity. The Patriots are sort of like a fantasy team. They've drafted so poorly. You wake up the next morning and you have 3 running backs on the team or something ridiculous. And there is just years and years and years of bad drafts in New England. This offseason, they had to spend $200 million just to plug the holes and right the ship. And I think they have a bunch of players who are making a lot of money and they're maybe not difference makers. Like Steph Diggs, Carlton Davis, not difference makers. Milton Williams is on the inside of that D-line's pretty good. But I think J.C. Horn and Derek Brown's way better than anything they have. If Christian Gonzalez plays, obviously that changes a lot on the defensive side. But I think Brad Idzik, Dave Canales, I don't think they're confident in their quarterback, but they're confident they have some identity. And we're going to go into that, what Brad Idzik had to say in a second here. But I think the identity of this team is completely switched. It's completely switched. A few weeks ago, we were talking about Bryce Young being at the center of this team's success. Bryce Young playing like he did week 18 against the Falcons, putting up 44 points in an overtime win, having 5 touchdowns, 3 through the air, 2 on the ground, 250 yards passing. And this is what we thought was going to be the norm. This is the jump point for the quarterback. How many times did I tell you that? It's like when man invents fire. And the next thing you know, people have lightsabers. I thought that is what was going to happen with this team. Bryce Young, those 2 years, the freaking 15, 16, 17, 18 games that came before the end of last season, it's out the window. Because this guy looks like he has some promise. He looks like he can throw the ball down the field. He looks like he can make plays. Whether it's scrambling out and throwing the ball down the field or making some big plays in big moments against the Chiefs and Eagles, you thought he could be more than serviceable. That was the hypothesis. Bryce Young can be more than serviceable, more than a game manager. Well, now you're here. And after 2 largely poor performances, yes, he bounced back a little bit in that game against a soft coverage in Arizona. And then he had a game against the Falcons where he largely managed things. This is where the Panthers are at with their quarterback and their offense and their team in general. Here's Brad Idzik in his opening statement.
There's plenty of different ways to win a game. This is what we've kind of challenged our guys with, of just being efficient, and starts with, controlling the ball and taking care of that thing. And our guys have really owned that. So just hoping to continue to stack weeks where we're playing full games together and finding those different ways each week of what's our avenue to a victory.
This is where we're at. There's plenty of ways to win the game. We have made plays all year on defense, an interception in all 3 games. The kicker, who would have thought the kicker would have been relevant? But Ryan Fitzgerald is kicking these knuckleballs. He pinned the Falcons inside the 10 a couple of times. You won the field position game completely because of your special teams. Sam Martin has a great leg. A great punter. They're kicking the skin off the football. You're turning the ball over enough on defense. The pressure probably needs to continue to improve. That's work in progress, but you're improving with the tackling. Some of these younger players, we're going to go into them later. They're improving. You're playing good on defense. I have the numbers in front of me that you only gave up 200 yards through the air once, and that was to Kyler Murray. You've contained all 3 of these quarterbacks, and for the first time since 2015, you've had an interception in your first 3 games. You're playing well on the defensive side of the ball. You're doing well on special teams. Where do you need to improve the most? Offense. Bryce Young, you want to see if he can be your franchise quarterback. You don't want to be a team that manages the game forever. You eventually want some upside there, of course. But for this game, for this week, I think you match up pretty well against the Patriots. Here's Tommy Curran, who's close to the New England Patriots, Boston sports writer. Headline, Patriots' propensity for stupid is hiding what could be a good team. Propensity for stupid. Pre-snap penalties like false starts, illegal shifts, or lining up incorrectly. Mind-numbing and completely preventable turnovers. Blown coverages, missed tackles. Operator errors, dropped passes, shanked punts, overthrown receivers. Someone needs to slap them on the cheek to wake them the flock up. So that's what the Patriots writers are writing about this team. It's not completely the opposite, but it is contrasted from what goes on in Carolina, which is, yes, the quarterback cost you 2 games to start the season, but you haven't been a highly penalized team. You've been able to run the ball. Everyone aside from Bryce Young is protecting the ball outside of Trevor Etienne on that punt against the Falcons. I don't watch everyone on the field and go, this is an operator error. At times you do that with Young, but I think you look at the coaching so far, and especially on the defensive side, in week 3, you saw it. Evero, Canales, they had a hand in winning you that game. And there have been times, I think like week 1, for example, the coaching was there, but Trevin Wallace is running in the other direction. And you have some of these younger, inexperienced guys who are probably going to take time to develop, and that's why this is a year of growth. The Patriots are the type of team where they actually have talent. They have players that are better than how they're playing, yet they're making boneheaded mistakes. Ramondre Stevenson fumbles twice in week 3. Drake Maye has a couple turnovers. In week 1, they were trying to force the ball down the field. And they're beating themselves, which I think opens up the game and opens up the opportunity for the Panthers to do what they want, which is, in Brad Idzik's opening statement, he's saying this, take care of the ball, find ways to win. Again, he says it, just take care of the ball, don't turn it over. We trust our defense, we trust our special teams to own the field position and to make enough plays. Now, is it sustainable going forward? I don't know. And Drake Maye is someone who kind of makes you double take. Because I look at Drake Maye, I look at the throws, and I look at the body of work. And even though there might be some questions about the intangibles, is he a winner? Is he Tom Brady-like? Does he have a killer instinct? Is he going to stay after hours to study tape just to make one throw? Or does he kind of just show up and, throw the ball as 75 yards down the field? He has all the talent. But that level of work that you need to put in to be the best, maybe that's something he doesn't have. So there's imperfections to Drake Maye, for sure. But, the upside is certainly there. Here is Dave Canales on Drake Maye.
You start with the physical traits. So I did watch him. I did evaluate his film. I think in this league, regardless of where you're at with a quarterback situation, quarterbacks, sometimes you end up in another opportunity down the line to evaluate the players to see if they can help you in some way. So I try to make sure we have our due diligence to watch him. A big, strong athlete. He's got a phenomenal arm. He can run. And what I've seen him do is in this, limited sample size, but what I've seen him do is playing really clean football. And, for the most part, just executing their offense. And he's got some special throws in there.
I find it funny how Canales says Drake Maye has played clean football. He has 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles. Anyone not named Bryce Young plays clean football in the eyes of the Panthers coach. And if you listened as well, you heard him say that he scouted Drake Maye. I'm not going to blow this up. I'm not going to be a provocateur here for no reason. They're all studying the quarterbacks. But I do find it a little bit interesting how he says, in case our paths cross, I'm paraphrasing there, but he was saying you do the homework on the guy because you never know when you're going to see him again. So An interesting philosophy if you're the Panthers coach. You never know when you're going to be in a position in your career where you might need to sign Drake Maye, for example. You might need to bring him in. He does his homework on all these quarterbacks. Something to keep in mind. And something to think about too is, well, the difference between Drake Maye and Bryce Young is Drake Maye has this upside, you look at the quarterback and you look at the arm and you go, this guy is a lot closer to Justin Herbert and Josh Allen, these quarterbacks that elevate their team. You get 9 wins just because they're on the field. And yes, you have to build a team around them, but they are central to the winning. Bryce Young right now, I'm not confident he is that. He was shades of that at the end of the 2024 season. But against the Falcons, some of the games you have been able to win over his career, it's been 18 of 23, 150 yards, maybe a touchdown on the ground, maybe a touchdown through the air. Make a couple good decisions, but largely manage the game and move the chains. It's a lot different. It's a lot different. And maybe Canales looks at Drake Maye and goes, maybe one day I will have a quarterback like that. A quarterback who does throw the ball 75 yards on line drives throughout the game. Finds receivers deep down the field. Can go over the top. That's not how the Panthers are winning this year. The Panthers are winning in other ways. And say what you want about the coaching, and I will be critical of the coaching. I don't think Canales or Evero have been perfect. I think some of the personnel decisions are just downright wrong. There's a number of opportunities to play younger players. Jimmy Horn is who I talked about yesterday. Nick Scorton, Lathan Ransom, Princely Uman-Mielen. They seem to be fighting for reps. This is a developmental-minded team. Remember that. Those guys should be in right now playing. And you almost should be force-feeding them reps. You know, you don't want them to be uncomfortable, but force-feeding them reps. This is why you're here. It's all about development. So I do get on the coaching staff a little bit there. And some of the decisions Canales made, the play calling, throwing the ball 100 yards down the field to Hunter Renfrow, it's just a bad idea. Renfrow can't do it. Young can't do it. It didn't make sense. So there's been things to point the finger at. But you look at the 3-game sample size, you specifically hone in on that game against the Falcons. The Panthers have characteristics of a well-coached, good team. They win on special teams, they win on defense. Your defense keeps you in these games. I just mentioned the statistics. 3 interceptions in their first 3 games. The first time they've had 3 games with interceptions in a row since 2015. They've been able to turn the ball over, neutralize quarterbacks. They're doing a lot better against the run with Derek Brown back. The defense is, at the very least, keeping them in these games, if not downright winning them games. Special teams. They're making plays. The Falcons' average starting field position was their 19-yard line after kickoffs. They also had a muffed kick and twice started drives at their own 10 in the second half, so I already told you that. You're making plays on special teams outside of Trevor Etienne, who muffed a punt. You're doing a lot, if not enough, on defense. And you're doing those little things right. You've largely been able to do it. And there's been growing pains, and you've had problems with, for example, the 71-yard run to Travis Etienne. I don't think that's a coaching error. But you're going to have some growing pains in this approach when you have so many young players on the field. You have Trevin Wallace running in the opposite direction. Nick Scott, who shouldn't be on the field in general, making an arm tackle and missing it. Some of these things are happening, but you're largely neutralizing it and keeping yourself in the games. That's what good teams do. That's what good teams do. They keep the scoreboard low. You're not going to be Josh Allen, put up 28 points every single week, and that's your identity. The quarterback is your identity. Everything starts and ends with the quarterback. No, the Panthers have a system you're becoming more comfortable with. You're becoming more comfortable with the system. And hopefully they carry it into this week where they have an opportunity to take on a team that has a propensity for stupid, that turns the ball over, that makes dumb decisions, takes dumb penalties, makes dumb throws. And we like their quarterback a lot more than Bryce Young, but if your defense does its job, it's not going to be a shootout. You're not going to let Drake Maye beat you because he throws the ball 70 yards down the field to Steph Diggs. You'll force a couple turnovers, whether it's on Drake Maye intercepting him or forcing another fumble. And that's how you win. And that's how you win. I want to go into the younger players on defense. Here's Ejiro Evero on Lathan Ransom.
His personality, that's just what he brings to the table. You know, he's very bright. He's very energetic. He's vocal. But he also listens well. He's very astute that way. But Latham is just he's full of energy. He plays that way, and so. But I've been so proud of the growth of our young guys. They're just working, and since day one, since they got here, they've just been working.
I freaking love that answer from Evero. I freaking love it because it was just a week ago he was talking about Pat Jones and DJ Wanham. Every time he was asked about the younger players, every time he would bring up the rotational veteran guys. And I know they're injured. I get that. Like, he can't put some of these guys on the field because they're suffering with injuries. Well, in this case, you're talking about Lathan Ransom. And it's been Ransom versus Scott. Scott's snap count was down to 89%. I know that's still really high. But he was playing 100% in the first two games. And Ransom's snap count is up. And Ejiro Evero is talking about the work ethic, talking about the particulars, about what he sees from Lathan Ransom's game. He's hyping him up. He's not asked about Ransom and then goes into a spiel about Nick Scott. He's not always throwing him around. It was like every single time you'd ask Evero about the young players, it's like you start dating someone new and you just keep bringing up the old person you were with. And you're like, well, who do you love? You know what I mean? Like, it's like I keep bringing up the other person I was with 10 years ago. And Evero would continue to do this. He would continue to bring up the people who are starting over the rookies. Nick Scorton and DJ Wanham, for example. Bringing them up when asked, or rather bringing up DJ Wanham when he was asked about Nick Scorton. Bringing up Nick Scott when he was asked about Lathan Ransom. He's higher on the younger guys now. That's the biggest win from Sunday's win. That you actually see a path to these players playing more and having more prominent roles. And I think Lathan Ransom, if you're going to have two safeties on the field, a lot of Sunday you had three safeties on the field. I get that. If you're going to have two safeties on the field, it should be Ransom and Moehrig. And no one should be debating that. Moehrig is more talented. Nick Scorton should be on the field over Wanham or Pat Jones. Princely Umemeo's a little bit different because I honestly think he is a situational pass rusher. I think that's his identity as a player. You put him in 3rd and 6, rush the passer. 2nd and 12, rush the passer. He did it perfect against Arizona. Jonah Williams one-on-one with Umemeola. Mano a mano, he gets the win. Gets the quarterback. Gets a sack. At the very least, Evero is going to start playing these guys more, and I expect to see more of that in New England on Sunday. And it's not just due to the injuries. He is higher on these younger players. This is a small tidbit of information that we're going to wrap up here. Per Joe person, Xavier Leggette says he could play on a limited basis, but is day-to-day due to that hamstring injury. There was that video last week of Leggette running a route, and my hamstring hurt watching it. He's so muscular, and I like kinesiology, physiology, so I always love learning about injury science. You can see the hamstring, it's firing incorrectly. His gait is all messed up from running, and I mean, hamstring injuries stink as an athlete, especially in explosive sports. But I bring this up to you because I think they should give Xavier Leggette a little bit of the Trevin Wallace treatment. Here's Trevin Wallace's snap counts from week 1 to week 3. 86% week 1. He has a terrible game, running in the wrong direction, doing all the wrong things. Even the GM says, who's meeting with Wallace, coaching him alongside Luke Kuechly, they go, well, we like the work you're putting in, and you're putting in a lot of effort, but you're overthinking it on the field. And these are similar words to what Xavier Leggette said about his own performance. He's overthinking it. Trevin Wallace was overthinking it. At linebacker, you need to be quick on your feet. You need to be instinctive. You need to be like Shakespeare. I don't know. I don't even know how I'm going to make that analogy work. But you have to be quick on your feet. You got to be ready to go and go tackle the guy. And Wallace was overthinking it and then ended up running in the wrong direction. You just got to trust that you know it. You got to trust that you know it. It's like one of those movies about the snipers. They're in the field. They got to trust that they know when to take the shot. Otherwise, there's going to be 150 people running into the field to find them. Week 2, Trevin Wallace, 76% of snaps. Week 3, 58% of snaps. Give Xavier Leggette similar treatment to Trevin Wallace. Slowly taper off the snap count. Slowly taper it off, or I guess taper it back up now because since he's injured. I love the words that Joe Person uses in his tweet. Use Xavier Leggette on a limited basis. Put him out there on a 2nd and 5. Run him on a crosser. Scheme him open. Put him on an island. See if he can win. Get a good matchup. Put him against the bad corner. Marcus Jones in New England. A smaller corner. If Xavier Leggette plays, try to put on him. And make it work that way and build this guy's confidence up. Don't do what you did to Jonathan Mingo, which you just keep putting him on the field, keep pressing the gas, and then all of a sudden, Jonathan Mingo is sort of like turning into a digital version of himself, and he's making that catch on the sideline like he's in the Matrix, like dodging the ball. That is what I don't want from Xavier Leggette. I don't want him to begin overthinking this too much past the point of return. This is the tone. Go Panthers! Go Panthers, Drake Maye, more like Drake maybe, but it's definitely going to be a loss.